and welcome to AIMTech's training on external adapters. We're very excited to be starting this training because this is a whole new product line for AIMTech. So to begin, we're going to go over the differences between an adapter and an AC-DC converter, since we're selling AC-DC adapters. So the benefits to having an adapter is that there are typically no additional certifications required. So AIMTech has its own adapters certified, and when we sell it to you, you don't need to get any additional certification, which means that you can make it to market much quicker than an enclosed AC-DC converter. There's also no design phase required since it's an external power source. You don't need to design your product with an internal power supply in mind, and typically, no additional EMC testing of the adapter is done for end product certification. And unlike power converters, external adapters can really be sold to anybody because anybody can require an external AC adapter. Obviously, selling them in high volumes is where the money can be made. But on the flip side, when we look at internal AC-DC converters, as we mentioned before, yes, the certification time is longer, but they are still quicker to get to market than discrete. But since engineers must integrate the converters into the products and make sure that they pass EMC testing, this is a more lengthy process than just using an external adapter. So overall, the key takeaway here is that designing a product with an external adapter can make it so that your end product reaches the market faster than using an internal power supply. Now, we're going to go over a couple prerequisites in order to be able to sell adapters. So the first prerequisite is safety. We have UL for North America, CE for Europe, and EAC for Russia. These are required in order to be able to sell adapters in these various regions. The next requirement is EMC. So FCC, or Federal Communications Commission, is the requirement for the United States, and CISPR 32 is the requirement for the EU. In order to sell in these markets, the EMC requirements must be met. And finally, we have the efficiency, and the whole purpose of having a prerequisite that looks at efficiency is to make sure that our adapters aren't wasteful when it comes to power management. And with the DOE 6, they actually test efficiency from a 25 to 90% load. So instead of looking at the efficiency under high loads, this DOE 6 requirement checks it from 25 to 90. It's a much more complete test. So now moving on to AIMTech's actual adapters. Well, we are going to be initially launching in the three markets that we mentioned earlier. So North America, Europe, and Russia. These adapters will already be certified, so they are going to be able to be sold in these regions as of the launch date. So this is very exciting because you guys won't have to wait a second in order to start selling these adapters. And AIMTech is going to have two different categories of adapters. So at the bottom left, we have a wall mount adapter. The plug is directly going into the wall and is connected directly to the adapter. And then from the adapter, there's a cable that goes into the device. A desktop adapter, on the other end, has the adapter in the middle in between two cables, one of the cables going to the product, and the other cable, which isn't showed here but is showed on the next slide, is going from the adapter to the wall. So this is what most laptops actually have in terms of adapters. And then finally, we have a wall mount adapter with interchangeable plugs. Because since adapters require different plug types depending on the region, having an interchangeable plug will enable you to sell the same adapter but in multiple regions. Now, just as AIMTech offers for power converters, we can also customize adapters depending on the requirements of the customer. But we will need to qualify the opportunity first before we can give you pricing information and lead time. The next thing is when we're talking about the output cable, so the cable that goes from the adapter to the device, we actually offer various cable lengths. The default length is 1.5 meters, but 1.2 and 1.8 meters are also available upon request. And finally, when it comes to desktop adapters, so the picture in the bottom right-hand corner, they don't come with wall plugs directly. They can be purchased from AIMTech, or you can find a third party to supply them for you, and that's not a problem. Wall plugs are shown in the bottom left-hand image.